What's up? What's up? What's up? How y'all doing today? What's going on, video land? That's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere that I can actually stream all or part of this video. I am here to talk about real entrepreneurship. This is your girl Knowledge by Nikki with 1K. And I want to talk to everybody who says they're an entrepreneur, but I'm not really sure you knew what you were signing up for when you said that. I have been in constant conversation with people, some new coachees. I actually signed up about 4 more people yesterday to take a shorter version or a smaller version of my coaching program. And I have been really trying to nail into people's minds what entrepreneurship is really about, guys. I'm telling you, when people wake up or they thought all their lives, I want to own my own business. I don't think we really fully understand what that means. I know we don't. I know we do not understand what that means. I don't care what business it is, guys. When you make the decision that you're going to go from either working for someone or not working at all or whatever it is that you're presently doing, and you say, now I want to run my own thing. I want to make my own rules. Whatever it is I want to do it on my terms, create my own culture. I don't think we fully understand what that's about. So let me give you a conversation that I had with one of my present coachees, but she upgraded to a different plan because she actually wants to get more help. She told me that, she just didn't know. She was talking about how beautiful her spot was as a salon owner, and she's, I think in South Carolina. I believe that's where she is. And she was just giving me the some of the ails that she suffered while owning her own business. And now she's having to make the decision to either, downsize, sell, whatever. So after she started talking more in depth about what it is that she was dealing with, which I hadn't heard it all before, I asked her this. I said, how many kids do you have? This is what I asked her. And I'm going to give you all this analogy. Those of you all that are parents will understand. I said, how many kids you got? She said 2. I said, what are the ages? She told me 13 and 7, I believe. I said, okay, are you married? She said, yes. I asked her how long she'd been married. She'd been married 10 years. She was with her husband before that. So, 13. So, okay, I said, so, okay. So before you actually had your first baby, about how old were you? She said, I think she said she was about 28 when she had her first baby. I said, okay, so let's take your life from 21 to 28. No kids. No husband, no nothing. I said, can you remember back that far? She said, yeah. She said, girl, I was kicking it. I was waking up, doing my own thing. Didn't matter. I could go when I wanted to go. I said, okay. Okay, so that's the total single life, no responsibility. That's what before opening a business looks like, where you can just go somewhere, punch a clock, especially if you were getting paid by somebody. Go somewhere, punch a clock, walk out, or let's say you booth renting or even commission. You can pay your rent. You ain't got to worry about nothing getting broke. You ain't got to worry about none of that. Pay your little rent, walk up the door. You ain't got to deal with nothing else. That's the life from 21 to 28. That's the metaphor I was giving her. Okay. So then you had your first baby. You had your first baby at 13, or she's now 13, had your first baby. I said, what changed? She said, woo, girl, a lot of stuff changed. I said, give me some examples. What changed when you had that first baby? Because this is the example of when you now have a full clientele. I was just walking her through this thing. When you got a full clientele and you got a commitment to them, for all y'all that are entrepreneurs and you still got a full ride of people, full clientele. That was like having that first baby. That's what I told her. When you had the first baby, what changed? She said, girl, some things that mattered to me when I was 21 to 28 didn't matter no more. I found myself every time I would go to the store, usually I just buy stuff for me. I automatically go to the section that is dealing, she had a boy. So that's dealing with the boys, and I would come out the store with nothing but stuff for him, and that's it. And I said, okay, so you got a full clientele. That is kind of what happens. Think about it. That's your first baby. You got your business was your business was your first baby. This is actually your second baby. So you open a business now. You got all these bills. You got all this stuff. That's what you got because she opened her business actually when she was still booked. That's your first baby. Things change just when you open the business, because now you got extra bills. You got to make sure this goes on. You got to make sure that goes on. And think about it. If you don't have the means to sometimes take care of your house too, there are times when you're going to have to make a decision. Do I take care of this at the business, or do I take care of this at home? And she said she was in those positions at time. I said, okay, so that's baby number one. Now let's make your real baby, 13-year-old baby, that's now 13, baby number two. Values change again. Now, every time you go to the store, your whole thing shifts. You got to buy for this baby. You got to do this, do that. Mind you, you still got baby number one, which is the business. If something go on, even if that baby needs something at the same time, you got to figure it out. You got baby number one, which is the business that requires more of you now. Then you got, actually, I keep forgetting, you really got three babies. You got your salon, you got your clients, which are demanding. Then you got a real baby at home, okay? I said, so then here we are. Now you juggling all these hats. You got a home life. She didn't marry her husband till 3 years after she had the first baby. So now you got a husband, okay? Men can be babies too. They need attention too. Now you got to give time for your marriage. Now you got, okay, the 21 through 28 is gone. That life is gone. You now decide you want to be an entrepreneur. Then you still got this whole load of clients that call you on your days off, want you to come in, want you to do all this, and you've been accommodating them and doing all that. Now you got a real baby. You got now 13, at the time was a newborn, so now you got another baby. So now you got that. Now you're trying to figure out how to make all this work, and you know stuff happens where everybody needs something at the same time. So then you decide, I'm going to bring more people into my salon so I can make more money. That's kind of your mindset. Or some of you all don't even think money. You don't think about profit. You don't think about nothing. You just think about, let me fill these chairs. You have not done the math to even know what the cost should be for booth rent. So you automatically go in. I got a girl right now, got 9 stylists in her salon. She's the 10th. She didn't do any math. When I did her numbers, this is what happens when you keep birthing these babies. She was $38 per stylist per week in the red. So guess what that means? That $38, that's short. Every week, you do the math. 30 times 9, if you just say 40 times 9, that's $360 a week short from what you should be making, that she got to come out of her pocket and pay it. So I told the girl, if you don't do the math before you bring these other 2 people in, you're going to be in that same situation. So she did that. She doesn't have anybody now, but she did. Brought in another person, and guess what, guys? I have said it 1,000 times. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Just because they're booth renting, I'm going to get real close when I say this, does not mean that they don't need something from you. I know you think they booth renting. I ain't got to be responsible for them. They can do their own thing. I don't have to babysit them. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. They still come there looking to connect, looking to gain something from this team environment, or if it was the owner that attracted them, they want to gain something from you. They want to be part of your community, part of your network. They want to do something that is connected to you that can help them grow. So now you got baby number one, which is your business. I ain't even saying nothing about her taking care of herself. Then you got baby number two, which is the real baby. Then you got the next baby, which is with the clients is in there somewhere. Now you got a husband. So that's 4 children. And all of them require something of you. Your clients pulling on you. You got this business. That stuff just happens and extra bills. You got a real baby. And now you got a husband. And now you want to go hire 4 more people, thinking that because you went booth rent and you didn't even do the numbers, that they are not going to require something of you. Yes, they are. She said she ended up losing all those people because she did not have the mental capacity with taking care of a whole boatload of clients. And she's short on the money because she was short. She told me I knew I wasn't getting the money I should because I got to take too much money out of my service money and make these bills work because she didn't consider profit. So she said, so she's stressed out because she got money that she got to take out to pay for this at the salon. And then guess what, guys? And I've seen it before. If you also are a contributor at home, guess what? You ain't got no money to bring home. So unless your ex or your husband or wife is a very understanding person as far as business, it causes drama at home too. So then you get bright. You don't say, okay, I need to figure out what I got right now, and maybe not birth no more babies until I figure this out. You keep thinking birthing more babies, getting another stylist and another stylist and a nail tech and a this and a that. You keep thinking this is going to solve your problem. But all that happens is they come there, you ain't did the math, so they're running up more electricity. Now the electric bill that went up. If you pay water, the water bill that went up. Somebody done broke something. Ain't nobody did it. Like that commercial, I ain't do it. That's what you deal with. You deal with things happening. I didn't deal with everything from floods to break-ins to this, getting out your bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. This is what happens when you don't take entrepreneurship seriously and you do no investigating homework, sitting down asking somebody. Ask somebody that's been in business for a while. Ask somebody that's been in business for, I say, at least 10 years. Because if they started wrong, trust me, they done figured it out by now. By now, they like, oh, Lord, I had no idea that this was all I was going to have to deal with. And now they can tell you the real. If they want to be honest, it's way past just cooking. If you got a restaurant, it's way past just training people. If you got a gym, it's way past just hair doing, I call it, or this being turning curls. This is what my husband does all the time, turning curls. If you got a salon, it becomes way past that. You realize that talent is not enough. And you keep birthing these babies and thinking that birthing another baby is going to make the load you already have work itself out. It doesn't. It doesn't. Let me give you all some definitions. And so as we went to talking, though, she said, girl, I get it. She said, I fully get it. So I took her on as a coachee. And guess what I'm going to tell her to do? Now, unlike real children, if you don't want to go to jail, I'm teaching her how to get rid of some of these babies. Let's go back the other way. You can't get rid of your real babies, but you can get rid of some of these other babies that really ain't doing nothing but taking from you. Sometimes, guys, when you let yourself get too far behind the 8 ball because you deceived yourself, you didn't realize that true entrepreneurship has a lot more involved than just standing behind that chair and turning curls. And let me say this. If you are totally unconcerned about making money and profiting in some way, I don't even care if it's a non-for-profit. Even non-for-profits still have to get money from somewhere in order to have viability and to sustain. Let me read you this. These are several definitions. I got my computer over here about what on entrepreneurship. A person who organizes and operates a business or businesses taking on greater than normal financial risk to do so. Y'all hear that? So for all of y'all that this is the most common statement, and I think it's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard. Well, as long as I make enough money to pay the bills, if I make enough money doing my clients and I can pay the bills up in here, then I don't care if it ain't nobody here. You know what I tell people? All right, tell me, unless you got a sugar daddy or a sugar mama, or because you living somewhere, you got bills somewhere else. So unless somebody is footing that whole tab, I want to talk to you in, I ain't even going to say 6 months. I'm going to say 3 months when you got to pay rent here and there. When you got to pay light bills here and there. When you got to pay gas bills here and there. When you basically just doubled your expenses. Now, I want to hear you say that's cool when you get to the point that all of your money is doing nothing but just sustaining and paying bills. I want to hear you say, oh, that's just great that I make enough money to pay for all these bills. You're going to get sick of that. If you ain't got sick of it yet, you will. And if anybody out there would be honest, that's where you are. And you like, this cannot work. You just working to pay bills. Why would you go into business to do that? That is insane. All right. So I'm going to take it a step further. A person who undertakes the risk of, this is a whole different definition from a different source. A person who undertakes the risk of starting a new business venture is called an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur creates a firm or business which aggregates, I didn't define that because I know y'all can figure out what it means, capital and labor in order to produce goods and or services for the purpose of profit. Y'all hear what I said? If you went into your business and you were totally unconcerned with how this business is going to make money, you deceived yourself in the door. In the door. You deceived yourself. You duped your own self. If you thought that you were going to be able to continue just sustaining and just barely getting by, paying all the bills. I want to see how long you're going to be able to do that. And so many of my creative or my right brain thinkers, which are creative people, are totally unconcerned when they go into these businesses with where profit is coming from. I'm going to give you a quick picture of what I'm talking about. You'd have to actually buy my booth rental versus commission book to do this, but there is a formula. Before you open a salon, and let me tell you, I don't care if you're already open, you can flip the script in a minute. Companies do it all the time. Just sit down, say, okay, I'm going to have to make some changes. That means sometimes if you got to take some loss on people, and if they don't want to go along with the changes, so be it. But you can't keep bleeding and thinking you ain't going to get infected. It's not going to happen. You have to first assess everything you think you may have to pay for in the business. I'm talking about everything. I'm talking about from corporation fees to taxes to the cities all got these different fees. Where I'm at, you got to buy salon shop registrations and you got all this other stuff. You got to take every bill. You can find out. You actually can go to your villages and find out if you never open us, because when you haven't opened, you don't know yet. You can actually go find out what stuff costs. I don't know if y'all know that. You can find out on average what a salon of this amount of square footage or a barbershop of this amount of square footage with these amount of people in there, they can give you that. You need to know every single light bill, cable, everything. If you got some apps you paying for things that you use for the business, you need to know the fees that come up out your credit card terminal. You need to know all of that. Every single piece of that. I got it over here on the board. I'm talking about toilet paper, paper towels, garbage bags. The girls that actually work in my salon, I tell them if they throw another garbage bag away and it ain't full, we gonna have a problem. Because they go. Toilet paper, it goes. I'm gonna put a bidet on the toilet. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put a bidet so then we can squirt up and then we can use less toilet paper. That's what I'm gonna do. You got all the way from, I buy those little air fresheners things. It's $10 every time I buy them. Them things evaporate like that. You got all the cleaners. You pay for cleaning the shop and this. You got somebody cleaning the shop, cleaning the windows. You got this. You got all this stuff. And I'm looking at it over here on this board because it's even more than that. You got all this stuff that you have to pay for on a regular basis. And God forbid something get broke. And for those of you all that don't know it, 90% of the landlords that actually rent out commercial space, they do not pay for when furnaces go out, when water tanks. Now, if you got a landlord that do it, God bless you. But they don't pay when water tanks go out. They don't pay. I have bought central air units for commercial spaces because their thing is, you broke it. You're the one in here working. I have literally had to do that. All they gonna pay for is if this is most of them is if the roof get messed up or something. I didn't have people bust the windows. I didn't had all kind of stuff. When I say I right now need a furnace in my place. My place is only like 750 square feet. The cheapest price I have gotten for a furnace, so we keep tweaking it because I really don't want to buy one, is $1,800. And unless you either gonna put it on a credit card or you're gonna pay for it, this is money that has to come from somewhere. So these are the things that we don't think about. If you have no profit, all you talking about is just being able to pay some bills. If you don't have any profit built in from somewhere, that money's coming out of your pocket. Because guess what? Those same booth renters that already ain't paying you enough money, they gonna not want to pay you rent if the salon have to be closed for a day or 2 or 3. They're gonna be like, well, I don't want to have to pay full rent if I'm not able to work in here full hours. You got it? Now you can have in their contract that you still gotta pay rent regardless because you do, but half of y'all ain't even got contracts. Go on my website. I got contracts. I got all that for stuff. But this is what is not happening. So I hear all these people complaining about this ain't working. No. You duped yourself when you didn't do that. So let me break that down. Once you come up with that, there's a formula. You can get it in my Booth Rental versus Salon book on knowledgebynikki.com. They're actually on sale right now because I'm changing formats. So you better get them right now while they're on sale. But there's a way you can figure it out. And I got this huge board over here that's got it on it. That's why I keep looking to the side. You have to, first of all, you got to add 20%. Once you come up with that number, whatever that means, whatever that number is that you're going to have to break, in order to be able to pay every bill up in there, you got to add 20% to that for miscellaneous. 20%. Whatever it is. If it's $3,000, then you got to add 20% to that $3,000. It take you I think in the book it's a $5,000 example. So you know if it's $5,000 that it's going to take you to pay every bill, everything. I mean everything. In here, I have to pay a sewage bill and for my dumpster. So my dumpster costs me $84 a month. I got to put that in there too. Okay. So everything that you have to pay, if that's $5,000, you got to add 20% for that. And guess what, guys? You got to add 10 to 20% for profit. And let me tell you why. People don't, when I talk to people of all industries now, and they have not considered profit in their equation. I got people doing spreadsheets. They feel smart because they know how to do a spreadsheet. I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't even know how to do Excel. That's why I pay people to do that. I couldn't do a spreadsheet if my life depended on it, but I do know how to figure out money in simple terms with a simple calculator and a phone, and to know when these numbers ain't working. Okay, so they'll have all this. They don't put any profit. No profit is built into this, and then I tell them, what's gonna happen when something happened, or if this is the case, let's say you didn't get a loan. If you didn't get a loan and you the one who put all that money into the salon, you paid for the floors, the flooring, the contractors, the labor to get the plumbing and the electrical up to where it needs to be. You pay for all that. You need to know what that amount is. I can use me. The building I have now, I kept every single receipt, plus I only use one credit card for all that type of stuff, or one debit card. It's between the two. I spend $40,000. Now, I've spent up to $85,000, but on this particular place, I spend $40,000 to get this place up and running. So imagine if I borrowed that $40,000. Let me tell you what would happen. If I had borrowed it, I need to have profit built in so I can pay that loan back. So why do you think, because it's your money, that you shouldn't have profit built in to pay yourself back? You need to pay yourself back. You need to figure out what that looks like. How do I pay myself back in X amount of years? So if you don't know how to do it, you hire people like me to figure out for you. And there's many people like me that can do it. I need to say, okay, if I put $40,000 up, I ain't even got to care about interest, because if it was a loan, it will be interest tacked on top of that. I need to know at what year, which is called a break-even analysis, am I going to make my 40K back? If I don't add no extra money in the pot, and all I'm doing is taking money out of my pocket to pay just bills, then I ain't never going to get my 40 back, ever. So I need to add in 20% for miscellaneous, and I say more like 20% for profit. Once I do that, then it's simple division. I divide that number by how many chairs is in there. If I'm still working, I do not include myself. I need to pay rent to my business just like everybody else, and the equation and the weekly amount, and just get the book. It'll break it down for you. I need to come up with that weekly amount based off of that final equation of basically 30 to 40% being added on top of what the bills are. And that's how I come up with what everybody pays per week. If it is anything less than that, then I ain't paying myself back, or I'm going to end up paying out of my own pocket, my own service money, or pulling money from home, or using credit cards to pay bills. That's what that means. As an entrepreneur, if you have not done the math, ain't nobody did nothing wrong. You talking about it just ain't working and people out here just don't. No. You messed up in the door. And a lot of us did. It's okay. It can be fixed, but it's going to take some radical shifts and changes for you to fix it. And the first thing you got to do is sit down. If you know how to do it yourself, do it. If you don't, sit down with someone and have them figure out hard numbers, not just guessing. You need real numbers so you know what you should be charging. If you have a commission business, I also have in the book is Booth Rental versus Commission. You can get it on knowledgebynikki.com, and I have a formula in there to figure out what you should be charging these people for booth rental and commission. Because obviously if it's commission, let's say hypothetically you come up with the amount that I need to get at least $250 from everybody. Then if it's commission, then in actuality, that person needs to produce whatever the commission scale is. If it's 50-50, that person has to produce minimally 500, because 50% got to go to you and 50% got to go to them. If it's 60-40, you have to do the math. This means that you, the owner, has to have the mental capacity, which is very difficult when you got 16 people in your chair and you working 17 hours a day. You don't even have the mental capacity to be trying to set quotas for people and make sure they do what they're supposed to do. And this is the problem that I see in all creative businesses that I have had the pleasure of coaching or just doing business strategy sessions with, is that in the midst of us working like dogs, which we doing what we got to do, we never think about how we are going to actually allow ourselves to be able to help other people that now become a part of our business get to their best selves. We ain't figured that out yet, and we're too tired to do it. Are y'all with me? So let me read something else to you. This is part of my virtual training course, which I will officially launch in probably about 30 days, maybe before that, because I have 31 virtual trainings. I mean, straight up, me walking you through the process of every single thing you could possibly want to learn and how to get your business going. I'm gonna tell you all what those trainings were about, but this is, I don't know where I got this from. I read a lot. I take information from all kinds of sources, but these are the top 5 reasons that businesses fail. If you didn't think about or do any of this before you started your business, it doesn't mean you're going to just fail, but it means that your probability of failing is greater and you're going to have to fix it today. First thing is no money. No money, no savings, no funds. First of all, I am totally against, and any of you all that watch me on a regular basis know I'm totally against you getting a loan for your first business. Don't owe nobody no money. Not for your first. You don't start getting loans until you can leverage what you already making and you got something you could look at that also is put in the equation that you could pay this loan back. Other than that, if you can't be disciplined enough to save the money and to stack up what you need to start, then you ain't ready. You just ain't ready. Now, don't get me wrong. We know there are many people in history that have become successful, taking their last dollar and rolling the dice and saying, let's see what happened, and it has panned out. But and there are times, look, I'm a risk taker, like serious risk taker. But I've learned that I still should practice taking calculated risk more than jumping off of bridges. And even those people that jumped off the bridge and God saw fit to let it work out, trust me, in order for them to stay successful, they have learned that, okay, I jumped off the bridge and prayed, and Lord, it worked out. But now I got to start taking calculated risks. I got to start thinking about stuff like numbers and money and where is it coming from and what I need to charge. Pricing. Half of you all, your pricing structure is it's too low. It's extremely low for what it is that you're passing off to people. When you go somewhere you've been going for years, and they all of a sudden say, the price is higher than what it was, say, the last week when you went there. They raise those prices for a reason. They recognize that in order to also see profit and for everybody to get paid, they have to pass those costs off to whether it's people or if they have companies buying their goods, whatever you're doing, whether you're selling goods or services or whatever, whoever the end user is, the client, you have to pass those costs off to them, period. Y'all out here with credit card fees. I hear this all the time. I am not one that charges additional fees. I don't do that. Like, I'm going to charge a person an extra 3%. Or extra 4%. But let me tell you what I do. I make the prices high enough so that whatever the fees are for whatever it is that I'm charging is basically part of the price. It's part of the equation. I know that I'm going to end up paying X amount of fees, but the price is high enough that where I can justify not having to charge you 3% on top of that or a set dollar amount or however people do it. Next thing is you ain't got no money. So you start a business with no money. You start a business with a bare bone budget. No room for error. This is bad. I pray that it works out for you, but the risk is real great when you do that. Then you ain't got no business plan. I ain't talking about necessarily writing an official business plan, although it would probably be a good idea. A business plan, guys, is not just about getting an investor's money. It's not. It's not just about getting somebody to front you some money. It's about you having a clear picture of what you say you want to do. And let me tell you something, in the digital world we now live in, and I love digital. You see this big dry erase board back here for me, and I got another one over here. Y'all, my computer will block it. I will show y'all this other one I got over here. These boards are for when I need to window pane out. And for anybody that teaches or has taken the teacher's course, you know what it means to window pane. It means to basically create this. Some people do rubrics. It basically means to create this scenario or to create something that you can look at. I watch a lot of cop shows. I watch, all the, I used to watch all the CSIs when they're on. Now I watch all Dick Wolf show, FBI, Chicago PD, Law and Order, Special Victims, all these shows. Have you noticed that even when police, and this actually really happens because one of my best friends is a commander, when they are trying to solve a case and what do? They stick everything on a board. They got pictures, they got timelines, they got this, because it's something about when you put all that on the board and you stand back and you look at it and you say, let me tell you what'll happen when you do that. You realize there's some stuff you don't even want to do. You realize there's some thinking. You're like, no, I got to rethink that. Even in the digital era we live in, writing still makes it real. It does. You put it on that board, you start looking at, okay, I got this much money over here. You ain't got nothing over here in the employee area. And who's going to help make this money? And you start looking at it in a different way. So a business plan is not just like, let me see if I have this book in my office for you all. No, I think I sold them all. But I have a business plan template that I use to teach people how to do business plans. That's actually going to be one of my virtual trainings. And it's a business plan for hair salons. Let me tell you two things they consider as another chair. And I thought it was ingenious. I had my own business plan. This one is so much better. I just bought rights to this one and start using it. They have retail considered another chair. And they also have profit considered like another chair. This book actually has you do a business plan where you can, even if it's a service business, they have you considering sales like it's another body. It makes you put that equation of whatever you're going to be selling in, and they want you to produce what another body would produce. Then they also have profit as like another chair. That's why I kept it alone. I said, this is brilliant, because now what it does is it makes you consider, because we count chairs, 4 chairs, 5 chairs, we count that. But we don't think about the other things that really are going to keep us in business, guys. So you got to have some form of a strategy, call it a business plan, whether it's formal or just kind of informal. I want everybody to get a dry erase board. I'm going to show you all this other one that I have. I got 2 of them. So I also, y'all see this? This is a big one. Y'all see this one? I also got this one. Now it's on wheels. So this one is when I need to move around and I need to do other stuff. And so that's my mobile one. I could take it apart. I could take it with me if I'm driving, of course. I ain't flying. But that's the one that sometimes I need another scene. Like I'm going to be doing some lives outside this summer because I love springtime. That's that board that when I need to go outside and think and just process some things, I'll literally take that whole board outside and I'll sit on my back patio. I got a screened in area and I will just sit there and just write and just do stuff. So this is what we need to do. So, okay, you ain't got no business plan. Then, hey, check this out, y'all. You ain't got no clients. Now, I'm talking about clients beyond the ones in your chair. If you're going to have a business plan, you have to have a marketing strategy. Okay, we talk about branding. We talk about marketing. Marketing is simple. Matter of fact, I got that in here somewhere. I have to look for it. Marketing is simple. Marketing is the strat. What is marketing? Here, I just found it right here, y'all. What is marketing? Marketing is the process of influencing potential customers and clients in your products and or services. The key word in this marketing definition is process. Marketing, listen. I got to get real close when I say this because none of y'all do this. Marketing involves researching. Did y'all hear what I said? You got to do some homework. Researching, promoting, selling, and distribution of your products and or services. If you have spent no energy, none, not even trying to halfway figure that out. Okay, I want this shop. I'm going to open this shop. Oh, I just saw my business plan book over there too. I want this shop. Let me go get this shop. And I ain't thought about nothing about, I ain't researched. What is the survival? Y'all don't even, of shops in this area. You all don't even research salons or period? Like, where are they today? What type of salon should I really open? Should it be booth rental? Should it be commission? Should it be a suite? They have different types of suites. They have open concept suites. They have what we call semi-private suites. If you don't want everybody just put in a box and they don't deal with each other. They got obviously totally private suites. You have all these working models. I don't care what it is that you just want to do. You have to combine your wants and what it is that you believe your purpose is with what really is working today. Marketing research will also help you understand that maybe some of the concepts that you have, they're not popular today. They're not what people want today. They're not what people are going to do today. So here you are, you're going to spend $40, $50, $60, $70,000, and you're going to go into all this stuff that is not what people are wanting today, and now you're disappointed that your business isn't working. You have to know what's going on in the world. How do consumers think now? What is it that they want? They got a lot more options today. So you have to be able to create a marketing strategic model that is going to draw people in to what you're doing. I actually talked about this guy here. I don't know him personally, but he has a suite building in a high-end suburb here. It's way north of me. And he was actually the first person that I saw do this, not years ago. But he had a suite building, real high-end suite, so you're going to pay some real money to be there. I'm talking about the suite building look better than most people's houses. I'm talking about Corian countertops, bamboo floors, and the lights is even off the chain. They off the chain. The suites are beautiful. He decided to take part of his building, because he owns the building. I'm going to talk about that too, owning your spot versus leasing your spot. That's going to be in a whole nother video. And I'm going to do some virtual training on how to do that. He took one spot. I want to say the spot, it was kind of long. So we might be talking about maybe 500-600 square feet. Not even that big. He decided years ago, before I even started seeing this, to do chair on demand. Now, do I believe that that was his intention when he first opened that spot? No. Even if somebody mentioned it to him, he I ain't doing that. Let me tell you what this dude did. Now, he spent a little money. He got this long spot. He put a beautiful counter in. He got it kind of partitioned with just these kind of little cubicle walls. He got hydraulic chairs, maybe about 10, all lined up from front to back. So it's really narrow and long. It's only maybe about a 5-foot walkway next to that. Goes straight back. All the shampoo bowls and all that is at the back. This dude set it up like the gym. You go online, set up a profile. It's chair on demand. You make sure you got insurance. You put your license number in. He got key fobs. I don't know how you get your key fob. I don't know if you go to the suites and pick it up. But once you're approved, you get a key fob from somewhere and you swipe in and out, guys. And all it does, you put a card on file, it charges your card by the hour. You can go in there. If you don't want to pay full rent, you can go in there and you literally can just swipe in, do a weave, make your $400-500 and swipe out. I said that is and this was years ago dude did this. I said that's the most ingenious thing I have ever thought about or ever seen in my life. So my thing is, he recognizes where the industry is now. Even if that wasn't ultimately what he wanted to do, he said, look, I got some more space. He did some research. He said there's a lot of stylists out here that don't work full-time, don't want to be committed to full-time rent. They don't want to have to resort to working in their homes or going in a suite that may or may not offer day rates. Some of y'all need to offer day rates too. You need to offer a day rate for the whole day. You want to come here and work for the day? You do this. These are just, my point is, we have these dreams and these goals and these visions, and we don't do any research to know where is the market today. Where is it today? Will this work? And we do it anyway. Okay? So you might be setting yourself up. So that's something real important. And I want you all to understand that if you want to succeed, look, I lost my paper that quick, y'all. If you want to succeed, you got to do some researching, promoting. Okay, we know we got social media, but some of us don't even do that well. I've been guilty. When it comes to social media, there's still a method to the madness. There are people, there is I want to call it like an algorithm. You have to have somebody that maybe could help you do the analytics. I know Facebook now has really good back-end analytics that you can see what industry you need to pitch to, what time of day, what age group. These things matter, guys. Yeah, we can use social media and just throw it out there and pray that it works. And it still will work some. But if you really want to get the best out of your business, and the beautiful thing is social media is free, then you have to still come up with a promoting strategy. Hashtags, all this stuff. How am I going to position this? Not haphazardly. Okay, this is something we got to come up with. Then we talk about distribution of products and services. If you want your own product line, cool. But you got to ask yourself, can I meet the demand? Can the supply meet the demand? Let's say this goes over real big, which I hope you're planning on it to go real big. Are you just going to sell it in your shop? Are you going to distribute it? Are you going to deliver it to people? What are you going to do? And this is just a matter of taking time and thinking and processing, writing it on the board, on some paper. I don't care where you write it. I love the board concept. I've seen it work. But these are part of the things that when you talk about clients, you got to do it. Where they coming from? And you need to think clients beyond just sitting in your chair. How many more clients you going to do? Half the people I talk to trying to come from behind the chair. How you going to come from behind the chair if all you think about is taking more clients, not giving more clients to somebody else? You doing them. How many more hours you going to work? It's only so many hours in a day and so many days a week. I remember being completely maxed out. There was nowhere else I could put a body in my chair. I had 3 assistants. I was doing stupid amounts of people all day, made plenty of money, but I was brain dead. Now, the difference with me, I knew early if I wanted to do this, I always had people that handled from a receptionist to a manager. I always was willing to take some of that money and hire people to do that. That's why I didn't fall into that pitfall. I knew I had to get people to do that. I can't do 25 heads and do that too. And I hire people that could get the job done. So my business was able to sustain because I was not trying to wear all these hats. Okay, y'all with me? And then this is the one now. This is the one that kill us all. No system or structure. I know y'all, some of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about because you don't even know what a system is. I'm going to tell you what I've read, the Cash Flow Quadrant, which is, I got the audiobook. I have read this book 1,000 times. When I say 1,000, I got one that's beat up. This one I bought new. Plus I got the audiobook. I done listened to the Joker like a gazillion times. He says something in that book. That's Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Some of y'all probably already got it. He says something in the book. He said, why do you think that McDonald's is #1 or over 1 billion sold or wherever they are in the stock market, McDonald's still stays high up on the list? He made it clear. It is clearly not because McDonald's got the best hamburger. Now they do got good fries. Y'all know that. But it is not about McDonald's having the best food. It is not about McDonald's having the best most pleasant workers. What McDonald's has done, like any other business that succeeds, or is successful, they have created a system that when you create a system that is predictable, that is consistent, that is damn near flawless, you will literally find that people, even unpredictable, all over the place, gypsy-like people will be drawn to this system that they can count on. The fries, look, we were in Hong Kong. Those fries are the same in Hong Kong as they out here. That system is the exact same way with McDonald's. I don't care where you go. When you start, that's how franchises are birthed. And if you really want to be honest, if you get to the place that you want to attract an investor, investors are only attracted to systems. They are not attracted to you just haphazardly waking up and figuring it out. No, you have got to devise a system that is so solid that even the people that come there can literally tell you the system. And I'm going to say this. Now, I don't care how you feel about the Vietnamese that do nails. I don't go to them. But I do understand this. When they came and they infiltrated this and caused what we call market disruption to this whole country, whoever came up with that system, I don't believe we even like half of them. But I believe that they came up with a system that has attracted people to where, if you go to one in California, if you go to one in Chicago, it don't matter where you go, they have from the setup. Yeah, they may be a little different in colors because they're different people. From the setup, we know the process will come first, will come second, will come third, will come fourth. Whoever established that system was a genius. Was a genius because that system is embedded in our brains. We know how the nail process goes. You can almost do it yourself. Because we now have watched it over and over from here to there to there to there. And whatever you feel about them, they created a system that is flawless. Now, it would be nice if that system had a little customer service in it, but we know it doesn't. But you get what I'm saying. You have to create a system and a structure by how your business is going to flow, or you're going to find yourself having it this way one minute, then it's going to be something else. You're going to go through people. People are attracted to things they can predict, literally. And that is a known fact. There is much statistical data that shows that people know when you're open. They know when you're closed. They know about how long they're going to be there. They know your workers' consistencies and the attitudes are just pristine all the time. It's always pleasant. People like predictability, but that only comes. And I'm going to tell y'all, it is nothing easy about structuring a system, because it requires you to think, to process, write down maybe some steps on how you're going to do this. You got to now train other people to do that too. But your business, you're not going to be able to do what you need to do unless you come up with a system. I'm not saying you're going to fail and you're going to be in the poorhouse. But what I'm saying is your business is going to hit a wall and it's not going to be able to go past that. And whether you do it now or you do it later, you're going to have to think about, what does your structure say about your business? What does your system say about your business? Okay, that's the fourth reason that people fail. And then last but not least, my absolute favorite, not understanding the numbers, not understanding that 2 + 2 does not equal 3, not understanding that you got to look at hard numbers. This is where I want you all to start. If you are a service provider in your space, the thing that hurts my heart is I literally do interviews and consulting. Like, I have days where that is all I do. Today, the last half of this day, I have 6 90-minute calls with just people about different stuff. And most of it is concerning money. And I will ask people this simple question, which is what I want you to think about. Did you work yesterday? They'll say maybe yes or no. Okay, if you didn't, did you work? Whatever the last day they worked is. How much did you, and we're talking about people that get money that day. How much did you produce just that day? When I say it is rare, for every 20 people I talk to, maybe one has the answer. And even if you don't, I tell them I will give you time to go pick up your phone, go in, because they usually somewhere where they have their computers or iPads or whatever with them. Go in your system and see what it is. The thing that hurts my heart, some of them don't even know how to go in the system and see what it is. Some of them have no idea what it is. Now, we're going to be talking about the day before, 2 days ago, 3 days ago. You cannot change. Let me see, how does John Maxwell say? You cannot achieve, is what John Maxwell says, what you have not defined. You can't even get nowhere if you don't know where you're starting. Try to get in the car and tell the GPS to take you somewhere and it can't figure out where you are right now. I want to see that GPS come up with this strategic map on how to get there. A GPS, now, because we got satellites and back in the day, with GPSs, where you had to put in everything, the number, the street, the address, you had to put in all pieces of the address. There were times back in the day before GPSs were what they are now, it's just all global, where if that GPS could not figure out where you are, you were literally sitting in one spot. You were sitting in one spot. You couldn't even move because you didn't know where you was going. You had to wait until that GPS could first figure out where you were for it to calculate the strategy or the actual driving directions to where you're going. That is how we're working. We're sitting. We don't even know where we are. If you don't know how much money you made yesterday, last week, last month, last year, and you don't even know how to go into the system to access it. I have had people that maybe they were able to go in the system, and this is what they said to me. Dang, I didn't know I made that Saturday. How are you existing, having no idea of what your finances are. That means you the same person that wake up and say, I want to go buy this car, and you don't even think about what the insurance costs. You don't think about the gas. You don't think about the maintenance. You don't think about nothing. And then, okay, go ahead and get that luxury car. I done had all of them, and I'm good. I ain't paying for no $250, $300 oil changes no more. I'm not interested in that. You have to know what you have to work with before you start making decisions that go into all these directions that are going to incorporate more bills, more money, more this. That means you got to constantly be going back to the table and saying, let me look at these numbers. Let me look at these numbers. I feel every entrepreneur, whether you work in a restaurant, the hair business, the school business, if you are taking in capital or you have what we call a transactional business, that means that you are taking in money. Every time somebody leaves your chair, you get paid for it. First of all, you need to settle out at the end of that day. At the end of that day, you need to really know what you made. You need to go in daily with a quota. What is it that I need to produce here so that I can continue to keep my business growing? I had a statement, and this was back before I understood even half of what I understood now. When I was working for someone, and actually even beyond that, I would, do hair. And let's say I had a situation, my plan, I knew every day before that day, how many people I was supposed to have. I had already kind of figured out, okay, so-and-so, she just gonna get a shampoo, but she says she wants to possibly get color. So I'm going to do a add-on, and I'm going to see if she wants to get her color today. I was processing that before I even got to work. That was way back when. This was my sentiments. If I knew that I was going to make, or thought that I was going to make a certain quota that day, and 2-3 people didn't show up, I didn't say this to clients. I would say it to workers. I would say somebody got to pay for them. Somebody got to pay for these people not showing up. So automatically my brain will go into strategy mode. Okay, so-and-so, I was only planning on her to get this, but now so-and-so behind her says she ain't coming. I was planning on that $150. So now I got to figure out how I'm going to distribute this $150 over all these people that come before her. I was literally like, okay, so-and-so been talking about she want to get a color. Beautiful. I got time now because ain't nobody coming. I will call her up because back then we had text and all. And I did this all through my career. Even now, I still do it today. I will call her up and say, you know what? What you think about that color? I just want to kind of get you prepared. If you want to get the color, I got time now. Had some people cancel. So now I done tacked on another 75. But now today it'd be about 200 or more. I done tacked on. I done ate up some of that deficit that I planned on. If it was somebody before her, I would do that. My point is, your mind, I love what I do. Trust me, you all ain't no more passionate than I am. I love what I do. But I believe in passion still should produce profits. I believe that. So I literally would go in, and that was my sentiments. If people cancel, somebody got to pay for them. Somebody got to pay for these people that didn't show up. So we got to figure out how y'all gonna pay. And of course I didn't tell them that, but I already knew. That meant if somebody wanted to get a weave, okay, we need to add this track on over here. We need to add a couple tracks. It was so much per track, and I kept hair on hand. If not, I called them, say, look, this is before I start actually understanding the retail part, because I don't believe you should let clients bring in hair. But that's another conversation, another day. I would tell them, pick up a bag of hair, girl. I got time. You want to get them 3 tracks? I ain't never had time for it. I got time today. I got time to braid them in. I didn't even want to do bonding because bonding was cheaper than stitching. So I'm like, I'll stitch them in. Stitching with, and if I provided the hair, stitching was $30 a track. A track consisted of 6 inches. If it was longer than that, then it was more. And I provided the hair and I sold it on. That's 30. That's $90. I done ate up a good portion of that $150 that was supposed to come. Most times, because I had that mindset and I was really into adding on service mode that people wanted, said, and they trusted me to just say, okay, let's do this today. I usually would make more money than I even planned on from having multiple people. And that was when I first started realizing I don't need 100 people to produce a certain amount of income. All I need to do is be cognizant of selling services and suggesting things. And then obviously I got into the retail. So y'all get the spiel, right? But you got to know the numbers. The idea is you must know your numbers. If you don't know all of that, I'm sorry, guys, but you're going to find your entrepreneur dream being nothing more than feeling like you got you in a box and you're claustrophobic, and that's what you're going to feel like. You're going to feel like your dream is dying, but it's not dying. It's that you've duped yourself, or as my title in this particular live said, you have deceived yourself. It ain't about bad staff. It ain't about not being able to find people. It's about you understanding that you have to do more than just know how to do the craft that you're selling. Remember on Drumline, what did he tell him? Why wouldn't you want to read music? He like, what did he say? Can't nobody teach me how to do me. That's how some of y'all feel. Ain't nobody teach you how to do you. Well, I tell you what, you keep doing you and keep not learning about what your business needs to survive and not realizing. I started off this conversation with having one baby. Every time you get another baby, your mind has to shift. Every time you get another baby, you got to shift some more. Literally every time you start adding these extra responsibilities, meaning people or your business in itself, you have to shift your way of thinking to now accommodate that other thing. If you don't, it's going to be short-lived. You're going to lose staff. You might end up losing your business altogether because you won't figure out, or you won't be willing to let someone help you to figure out how it needs to work. I was telling someone yesterday, there's a restaurant that I go into. I love Jamaican food. Love it. And in Chicago, we got jerk chicken joints like McDonald's. I mean, literally, we got them all over the place. So this one restaurant that's really popular, the food is really good. So the line is out the door, and it's in the hood, y'all. So for any of y'all black people that are watching me, that know what it means to go to a hood restaurant, you already know the element I'm talking about. The people that come in there, the loud talking, the cussing, to this is crazy, but this is what goes on. So this is a normal at this place. This place has been in business about 15 years, and they've been rocking since day one because they're also in a good location. I'm still watching this business still make the same mistakes that they were making when they started. They still don't have chicken, don't have it. We ain't got no wings. We ain't got no this. And because of these things that they're constantly, and it's in the middle of the day. We ain't talking about when you first open. They're still running into these same pitfalls, still not able to handle the load, still not able to have good customer service. They still just doing the same nonsense that they were doing when they opened. And I sit back and I'm waiting on my food, and I already know, just don't even trip, because this is just what it is. They getting cussed out. If they weren't behind bulletproof glass, no telling how it would go. They getting cussed out. They getting, people like, give me my money back. It's every single time I go in there. And all I say to myself is, how are you all still operating like this? Y'all been in business too long to still be operating like this. You need to go somewhere, have something. Look, they got restaurants that's been in the game forever. They didn't figure out how much food to order so they don't run out of stuff. They didn't figure out how many workers they need. They didn't figure out how to answer the phone, how to set up a website, how to do this, how to do that. They didn't figure out how much to cook so they don't have a bunch of food waste. There are people who have figured this out. So why are you not? I'm thinking they gotta be, the workers gotta be sick of this. They gotta be sick of getting cussed out every day, running around like chickens, because that's how they look every single time. You gotta be sick of that. At what point do you say to yourself, something I'm doing ain't working? You gotta know everybody out there is not in that position. There are people that have clearly figured it out. So you gotta say to yourself, I need to know who I need to go to help me figure this out. Because I know this cannot be the way that I have to exist continually. And every time I go in there, I get aggravated. And not because of just them doing what they do. It's like, I'm like, whatever with that. But the fact that nobody in this business that has been booming for years has not taken the time to go learn, how do I do this better? Because I'm sure some of those people that have got mad and pissed and said, give me my money back and all that stuff, and they probably stopped coming. Because everybody's not going to deal with that. I don't go there all the time, but I already know when I do go, I already know what it's going to be like. But why, when your stuff isn't working, you still want to exist and not go find out there's got to be a better way to do this? When I talk color, I still teach color. I teach color all the time. And when I talk color and we teach a relaxer and color, and then I got 2 minutes, y'all. We teach a relaxer and color. And I got people in the urban industry, black salons that are doing relaxers, and they scared to death. I don't care what I tell them that they can do, what they can use. They still scared to death to do relaxer and color. They're like, no, I don't care what you say. I know I love you. I know you know what you're talking about, but it ain't going to work and this and that. You know the first thing I ask them? I say, okay, let me ask you something. You ain't even got to have any regard for my knowledge. You go to the grocery store, you go to the mall, I just name all these places that all of us go all the time. You have seen black people with color, right? And they'll say, yeah. Do you think all of them are natural? They'll say stuff like, no, I saw one girl, her hair was off the chain and she had color and I know her hair wasn't natural. Then obviously, I asked them, did it look like it's falling out? Did it look chewy? Because when hair's destroyed, and a hairstylist, you can tell. They said, no, it looked real healthy. I said, then clearly someone has figured something out. What your job is now is to quit saying it can't happen, to go figure out. You should have asked that girl, who did your hair? Then you should have found out who did her hair. And then you should have said, when you called the stylist, is there any way, if you teach it, and this is what you do, guys. You're always talking about somebody don't want to tell you something. Let me tell you something. You can't keep going to people asking them to give you information and don't want to come up off no money. When you want people to give you information, the way you approach them is there any way I could pay you to teach me or to tell me what you did? But no, that ain't what y'all do. Y'all think folks so supposed to give you information. Them days is over. And then they'll say, well, she didn't want to tell me. No, did you offer her any money? Did you offer her money for her time? Did you offer her money? Because if she had to go pay to learn it, why shouldn't you? You could have called her up and said, look, I noticed you got a client I saw over here at the grocery store. Her hair is beautiful. Is her hair relaxed? If she says yes, you say, I noticed that her hair seemed very healthy, this, and that. Is there a way that I can pay you for that information? Or is there somewhere you can send me to learn what to do, what to buy, whatever? You will find the information you're looking for. Quit thinking that stuff just ain't working. No, you just ain't figured it out. Somebody figured it out. So what I'm saying to you guys is all of these things that I hear about entrepreneurship, how you've been deceived and it just don't work, and it's a lie. It's a lie. Yes, it does work. You have to learn how it works. You have to learn how it works for today. You have to learn what you need to do for today. You have to learn how you need to reposition yourself. If you got to sell off some stuff to start over and get this back on track, I don't care what you got to do. It works. But you have to learn how to work it. And that means you got to ask questions. You got to offer up money to find. Look, I am past taking the excuses of I don't have no money for stuff. I watch my stylists who are clean. I watch us every day. Every time I go somewhere, we spend money on what we want to spend money on. So I am no longer, I don't want to hear the tears about you don't have no money. I really want to take your coaching, but I can't afford to pay. There was a time I used to buy into that, and I used to say, okay, let me just help you. And don't get me wrong, God still puts on my heart. There are times when God say just help him, and I follow that. I am very obedient. But I don't want to hear that. What happens is, even when you won't help, sometimes you got to say, let me downsize. Let me do this so I can maybe even take that money and start paying for help so that I can build this business back. It's ways to do it. And the bottom line is we are not doing what we need to do. We are not learning what we need to learn in order to get where we need to be. And this is why entrepreneurship is failing. I see one of you all ask me about coaching. I'll be honest with you. My coaching starts all the way from $5,000 all the way up to $15,000. That's in a year. That's a year program, but it is ironclad and it is custom. And I basically take you and I say, you know what? We're going to take what you need to get where you try to go. I do not accept everyone. You can go on my website right now, knowledgebynikki.com. All you got to do is just put in the email box that I'm interested in coaching. I will send you a link that's going to ask you these questions. And if everything works out, you'll have a 90-minute interview. We'll talk about it. We'll make sure that I'm a fit for you. You're a fit for me. And I'm honest. I stay in my lane. If you start saying I need this and that ain't what I do, I tell you that's not what I do. And I will refer you to whoever it is that you need to help with what you do. But this is what's going to have to happen, y'all. So I'm getting ready to go. Peace out. I got a whole lot to do, places to go, people to see, all that good stuff. I love you all. I thank you for listening. I hope it's helping you. And again, I always say I'll meet you at the top. All right? Knowledge by Nikki with 1K.com. Go on my page. I got all kind of conferences and classes and all kind of stuff going on. And if you just want to ask me some questions, put it in the email. It'll come right to me. And I'll send something back to set up a time if I think it's more than an answer. I'll set up a time that we can talk. Just talking to me randomly, that's for free. But if you want me to do a business strategy session with you, like, look, no, I want you to just help me figure this out, I also have a link for that. But you got to hit me up on knowledgebynikki.com, 1K, put something in the email, or there's actually a text number on there. I believe it's, I might have two. It's either 708-798-7900, or I have an 800 number, 800-580-8074. So I'll talk to you soon, but I'm out.